Hey guys, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Bram. I talk about all things fashion, luxury, lifestyle, shopping, and travel. So if those are things that are interesting to you, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button. Oh, I got stuff in my shirt. And become a member of my growing YouTube family. Also, hit the notification bell. I usually post videos Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. However, sometimes it's random, so I don't want you to miss any of my riveting, life changing content. Just joking. I would love it if you would hit the notification bell so that you are notified when I upload new videos. And last but not least, I'm going to put my Instagram handle here so that you can come and hopefully follow me over there where we do a little bit more of like behind the scenes stuff. We can talk in real time. I like connecting with you guys over there because it just feels more like of a two-way thing versus here where I'm just kind of talking to myself for a little while. So anyway, all right, guys, today, a few things, and then we'll get into the video. I am in my new little office space. I know that I feel like it looks very sterile. I feel like it looks very sterile. But we're trying to make it work. It's definitely like not meant for filming, but I think that it works for filming. I have a lot of like natural light around me, which is perfect. And because I might end up getting a ring light or something like that just to have in case I want to film at night. But like for now, I love the like it's just there's nothing better than natural light. So we have that going. I got myself a um obviously a little like it's an Amazon Basics little cube thing happening back there. And I am just focusing on like I'm probably not going to have like my bags behind me because this isn't my house, it's an office space. So we're probably just going to like fill that up with like cutesy little things as we go. So if you've watched any of my videos, I think you probably have a good idea of the things that I like. I like cartoony, stupid things like that, as well as luxury. I like the meeting of the two. So obviously, I have a little Sanrio. I think that's Maru. I'm not sure. Dressed as Grumpy Bear. We have my non-neutered, excuse me. He's not neutered. My stuffed cat up there, who offended my daughter, which is why I took him to the office now. And just a bunch of books that I had kind of laying around that like we're just collecting dust in the house. So now they're here. And I'm looking to just kind of fill it up with cutesy little things. So if anybody has any cute little ideas on what would be like, I don't know, like a cute little things like tchotchkes or whatever to put back there, let me know. I'm in the market for a whole bunch of tchotchkes. Okay, so let's talk. First thing before I get started, I am going to plug this thing again. Now, the link that I left, yes, it is Amazon. I make like 3 cents off of this thing if you want it through there. If not, they also have it at Ulta. I'm just telling you about it, guys. It has nothing to do with me pushing this because I get paid to push this, which I literally don't really. I do, but I don't really. You know what I mean? I just wanted to share this with you because I really freaking love it. This is Dream Cloud. I put it in my stories. I don't remember if I talked about it in my last video, but I'm wearing it again. And I do get a lot of questions on like just what I'm wearing. I am wearing this. It is like a really pretty, I don't know if you guys can see that. It is like a little bit shimmery. It has like some like glitter flecks in there, it looks like, but on the lips, it absolutely does not look like that. So this is my favorite color. I don't remember what it's called. Oh, Dear Bun, whatever that means. I did have a bunny named Bun Bun, so maybe that's why it's for bunny, right? Dear Bun, Dear Bunny. Anyway, it's Dream Clouds. Oh no, Dear Cloud, not Dream. Have I been saying? I might have been saying Dream Cloud this whole time. It's Dear Cloud. That's why it's Dear Bun. I get it now. Okay, Dear Cloud. Oh my God. All right. This like lip gloss. I think it's just lip gloss. I don't even think it's like a lip oil or whatever. Lip gloss in this Dear Bun color. It is a collaboration with Miffy and like super cute. I feel like they just know how to get me. Like slap a bunny head on something and a cat, and like that's all I need to purchase. So these are super cute. It comes in this color, which is my favorite, and there's also a clear. I have like two of these, one of the clear, and definitely at some point today I'm going to order like two more. I literally never want to be without this lip gloss. It is also the applicator. I don't know if you can tell like the size just by looking at it, but it is really small, which I'm not sure how many people like that or don't like that. I actually really like it because it allows me to control better how to get in the lip line. Also, it allows me to, I don't know if you can even see this, but like I don't need to go above. So my whole face isn't slathered in like lip oil or lip gloss. It just is literally inside the lip line. And I can control it because the applicator is really tiny. So I can kind of like outline my lips and stuff. So it's like perfect and I love it. All right. So it's linked below if you want it. Otherwise, like I said, Ulta has it for sure. That's where I got my first one. Okay, guys, let's talk. Let's talk now. So this is obviously my first true video in this space. Like I said, the last one was a little chit chatty. This is a true video, yes, but I didn't get dressed up for you guys. Sorry, because I spent the whole morning doing this thing and like setting it up and all that. And yeah, hopefully it looks better over time. So I guess we'll see. But let's talk about the topic at hand. So I wanted to talk to you guys about the difference, or I guess the pros and the cons between buying new luxury and buying used or vintage luxury. Oh, also, did I show you my new Stanley? Stop it. I am Stanley obsessed. Not because it's a Stanley, but because I really do believe that it keeps everything way colder in a Stanley. I have a bunch of those Simply Moderns from, I mean, I get them from Target. I don't know if they're sold anywhere else. But number one, they're too thin and they shake around in the car like a cup holder, which is very annoying. These do not. And those are really boring and very like quiet luxury of me. I feel like I bought those when I was going through my little like sad quiet luxury everything sucks phase. And while they're like some of them are bright colors, I like the designs better. So this one comes in, I'll link it below if they still are available. Not sponsored. I got the yellow. There's also a blue and like a blush striped, and I don't know if there's another one. I think that's it. But I got mine from Dick's. I'm probably gonna walk in later and get myself a blue one as well because I just like they're so cute. I need the pink. I need all the stripes. It's perfect for summer, and I don't know how many of you guys remember this, but I do try. Oh my god, you guys are gonna think I'm so stupid. I do try to match my Stanley with my outfit. I know. I know how people feel about like only having one water bottle. You only need one water bottle. I use them every day. I use like almost every single one that I have. And isn't that what it's about? Like it would be one thing if I used one every single day, but I literally change it every day because I feel like it's gross if you don't. And yeah, so and then I have a house full of people who also use them. So these I love though. Okay, striped is like super summery and so cute. Okay, now let's talk. All right, so let's talk. First of all, in the comments, let me know, what are your thoughts? Do you like to buy luxury? Like, how do you like to buy your luxury? For me, I feel like I like a combination of the two. But lately, it's definitely been more pre-loved and vintage. And if these companies keep going in the direction that they are going, it will probably be like that for a very long time, maybe forever. So I haven't purchased in store for a very long time. I will say the reason for that is a few things. Number one, obviously, these relentless price increases. I think that initially I was very turned off in 2020 when all of these companies, all of these big fashion houses raised their prices due to supply chain issues, right? And then of course, they haven't gone down since. So maybe that was true in the very beginning. I think ultimately it was a bunch of bullshit. And it was a way for these billionaires to be like, these people who are losing everything that they have, jobs, all of these things, yeah, they might be getting their little stimulus checks, but ultimately it's destroying the economy. And if you're a billionaire, like, you know that, right? You know how these things work. And so yeah, that was sort of unforgivable. And I don't think that I feel like everybody was so emotional, obviously, during that time, and like wanting to use these luxury purchases sort of as like a band-aid, because what else were we looking forward to at the time? And we had a little extra money and things were sort of good, but not really. And they took advantage of that for sure, which of course they would, but what a shitty time to take advantage, you know? All right. So that initially left a bad taste in my mouth. And then slowly but surely, I still purchased, but in the subsequent years, I feel like each and every fashion house has slowly just gotten blah. Like they keep on increasing their prices. Quality, I don't really have too many quality issues. I've had quite a few at Louis Vuitton. However, they've always made it right. So I can't really complain about that. I do get annoyed when other people have quality issues and they don't make it right, because I think that the reason they made it right for me was because I have had some really great sales associates and managers in the stores that I've worked with that always looked out for me. But like, and I think that's fine when it comes to ordering things or pre-orders or whatever, but I don't think it's really fine when it comes to standing behind your product. Like everybody who pays the money should absolutely have the same experience on the back end when something goes wrong. So whatever, my experience was always very good. Um, yeah, I feel like, Chanel was always a crapshoot for me in terms of I would go see something in person, because obviously there's no website. So that makes it easier to kind of like see the item before you purchase it. Plus, I've always lived in places where there were Chanel's. And I feel like for me, they're a crapshoot. Sometimes their collections look amazing, sometimes they don't, like whatever, but you purchase what you like and that's it. I've never had an actual problem with Chanel quality after I've purchased it. I know a lot of people have. I have had, not much anymore, but I have had a ton of Chanel like fashion jewelry, and no problems with that in terms of stones falling out, things like that. I think I have a necklace from like, oh God, maybe 2009, a pearl one that has actually lost a few pearls, but I beat that thing up so bad. And yeah, so whatever at this point. I probably wouldn't even bring it in to fix it. Maybe I'll go get myself some like pearl glue and try to put it in there and whatever. But like anything else, especially recently, I feel like I haven't had any problems with their pearl or like rhinestone jewelry. No problems with any of that. Um, yeah. So whatever, like I don't, yeah, I haven't had any problems. So, okay, next thing. But that's definitely part of the reason why I haven't purchased, just because number one, like quality is not getting better. If you look at and I'm not even talking about things like going wrong, I'm talking about if you're looking at vintage items or the bags that we used to have 15 years ago from Louis Vuitton, that canvas was like super thick and heavy and like fluffy and like malleable, and now it's just like paper thin on most of these bags. I know that people are a fan of like the pre-treated leather and all that stuff, but that vachetta smell, that Louis Vuitton bag smell, I mean, like the one of the best smells ever, ever, hands down. So to take away those little things that, in my opinion, make it luxury, it's like whatever at this point. If I'm not going to get that new Louis Vuitton smell from Louis Vuitton, like then I might as well buy vintage, because that smell is long gone on those vintage items anyway. So like it doesn't even matter anymore. Yeah. So anyway, for me, those are some of the reasons that I have stopped purchasing directly from in store. Also, I think that I started not purchasing with this whole quiet luxury situation and just being really bored with what these houses had to offer. And ultimately, just kind of like starting to look on the pre-loved market because that was more exciting, and then just kind of falling in love with that versus constantly looking for like the best new thing. You know what I mean? Okay, so pros and cons, let's talk about it. I'm going to hurry up so that you guys are not listening to me for another 40 minutes. Okay, it's only been 20, but you know what I mean. All right, pros. Here, the pros of buying new, in my opinion. Okay, so in-store experience. It used to be a really nice experience in store. For me, especially Chanel, I would say, and Louis Vuitton, when I had my essays. So when I had really great sales associates, I had two amazing ones over the years in New York. I had an amazing Chanel sales associate in New York as well. And I always looked forward to going over there, whether I was buying something or not, but going over there, talking, chit chatting, trying things on. They would always make it like such a nice experience. Management was great. Just everybody was so nice. And I had a great time just being there. They would send me pictures. It was an immersive experience. You absolutely got caught up in that whole just lifestyle because, and they knew how to do it, but they were also like just interesting people who I connected with. But they would send you pictures when things came in. They knew your style, things like that, right? So it felt like a very immersive experience and it was fun, especially for the person that loves fashion, right? Do those in store experiences exist anymore? I don't know. I am not in New York anymore. I really haven't taken much time here to cultivate those relationships. Every time I have a great Louis Vuitton essay here. However, I don't go into store very often. I talk to her every once in a while. She's cool, but I'm not in the headspace to really be purchasing. So I can't really tell you because I'm not a customer at this point for her. Not a I will be like one day. I'm sure that I will buy something new in store again, but will I be to the extent that I was previously ever again? Probably not, you know? So I couldn't really say. She's great, but I can't say. Like I literally haven't had any real experiences. I can tell you just from shopping in like other places that weren't my like home Louis Vuitton and Chanel, when I moved out of New York, it was very hard to find somebody to connect with in any of those stores. I spent a bunch of time in Vegas where I think because so many people come in there, it was just kind of like a in and out situation. They were just like, yeah, there was a really actually a great essay in Bottega, but that's not really my thing. But he actually followed up and he was cool. But everybody else, I just felt like it was whatever. I dealt with Hermes out there quite a bit. And every time I would talk to the essay out there, I felt like she didn't remember who I was, you know? And it wasn't like I didn't purchase. And I felt like she didn't remember who I was. It was like reintroducing myself and all those things. And I don't know, she's playing hard to get, whatever. I have a whole different take on Hermes. I don't like to lump Hermes up with like these other brands because I think that it's a little bit different. Um, but yeah, anyway, so that wasn't it. I just never felt like I connected beyond those like New York connections that I made. And so I can totally understand. I don't feel like it's as luxurious an experience as previously. Prior to 2020, obviously you went into the store, they gave you champagne. I remember going into Chanel when my kids were little and they would give them like coloring books. Like it didn't matter what you were buying or how much you were buying. I feel like they always looked out. They always made it a luxurious experience for everybody. And that has absolutely changed 100%. You sort of have to prove yourself now, or they have to look at your buying history or whatever in order to get the same experience. And I'm just like, I don't care enough at this point to work on that anymore, you know? All right, what else? Okay. The definite pro. So that's a pro, but like kind of not. I don't know if it holds much weight, I guess. The next pro of buying new is that no one has ever used the item. So that obviously is 100% a pro. I always would like an item to like, uh, okay, yes, 99%. Let's say that 99% that is a definite pro. I like to know that nobody has spilled anything, nobody has I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't really care about those things, to be honest. But yeah, you always want like, yes, I would rather a new thing. If I can choose between even a vintage item, right? If I can choose one that has never been used and has just been sitting in someone's closet for 20 years versus one that was used daily and beat up, I probably would choose the new one. However, I have gotten recently quite a few kind of beat up vintage bags. And I will say it's kind of taken the pressure off of me. So instead of it sitting in my closet for years while I'm like, oh my God, I don't like, I don't want to ruin this bag. I take it out immediately and I'm able to use it and enjoy it immediately because I'm not worried about like, rain spots on the vachetta or scratches on the Chanel turn lock or whatever. It makes it a lot easier to just jump right in and enjoy it. And there's a benefit in that. Okay. The next the next pro for buying new is that they're new styles. So it just depends on the headspace that you're in, I guess. Like, yeah, they're the new styles. Maybe nobody has them yet. Everybody probably knows about the new styles more so than they know about the vintage styles because there are, I mean, there's like the famous vintage styles, but there's also a ton of vintage styles that are not necessarily like famous in the same way and people don't necessarily know about. So if you are looking to be noticed by the people who know about new styles, then 100% it might be one of those things where I can see that. I can see that it would be one of those things that it would be like, I want to be the first one to have the Chanel 25, or I want to be the first one to have the Chanel 19. And obviously I'm talking about before, but whatever. I want to be the first one to have the Andiamo tote bag or like what is even new anymore. I have a video coming out on that later, but like, just off the top of my head, there's not many new things that I really like. So it's hard for me to even like talk about it. But yeah, I want to be the first person like in my at work or like the only person that people are seeing on the street with like the new cherry blossom speedy, blah 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 blah. So I I do get that. I was there for sure. I loved having things before anybody else did. I did. But again, that's sort of like whatever headspace you're in. But I can definitely see the pros to that. Like I can see that being a something that is important to you. If that's important to you, then obviously buying new is the only way to go with that, right? And then I think that the last pro that I could think of for purchasing new from store would be they tend to be trendier items. Now, is that a pro or is that a con? I don't know. Again, it depends on which way you look at it. For me, I always liked to purchase like wilder things. I never was one to want classics even though I was spending all the money on those items, I felt like classics were so boring and I could get myself a no-name black bag or a no-name kind of like flap bag or something in the first of all, I don't like classic things anyway, so it wasn't something that I was gonna like be using. The crazier the bag, the more I would use it anyway. But I feel like buying the trendier items when they come out, if that's what you're into, like you're never going to get as trendy of a new like an item. Like it has to be new to hit that trend like square on the head. You know what I mean? Even when things come back like this Y2K whole phenomenon, even with this, when you are talking about trendier bags, like when you're talking about like this Y2K trend, a lot of the like the Y2K bags are still a great price. The original Y2K bags are still a great price on the secondhand market. Why? If this is a trend, why are those bags still a great price? It's because they always do some sort of little twist on the new stuff to keep people wanting to buy new. So you're never going to find it 100% from like the vintage market to hit all of those like specifications. You're always going to find the trendier version coming out brand new. So if that's your thing, then new is usually the way to go with that, right? Okay. Now let's talk about pros for vintage. I have way more pros for vintage. You can tell I'm a little biased, right? All right. Number one, you're usually saving money. This is not across the board. There's always going to be obviously standout pieces where you didn't get it initially and now you're kind of screwed. For example, these like Takashi Murakami like little jewelry boxes. I'm going to post a picture up. I don't remember how much they were. I have to be honest. And I am embarrassed to admit that I had one and sold it maybe 10 years ago. And I had it for a million years and I sold it for not a lot of money. They're going for about $12,000 right now. I'm moving on in my life. I can't think about it, guys. Don't say anything about it. I don't want to talk about it. But that is one of those things that obviously has only gained with age, gained, worth with age. However, like I was just saying about the trendier items, you can go on Fashion File, Rebag, eBay, Vestiaire, and whatever your site, like your choices, and typically purchase still. Now, are you always going to get vintage items for less than they originally cost? No, but relative to the new prices, you will save some money, right? Some things have gone down, some things have gone up, but for example, the multicolor collection, right? We know that there was like a little bit of a spike, obviously, when the news broke that they were going to be re-releasing this collection. We know that there was a spike in terms of like price on the pre-loved market. Yes, but for the most part, let's say in its initial run, the multicolor Speedy, the Jessica Simpson Speedy was $1,200 bucks. It was $1,200. Don't argue with me. It was 1,200. I was there. It was $1,200. It might have gone up over the years, whatever. But 2003, that thing was 1,200 bucks, which was a lot of money. Has it gone up in price? Yes, they are roughly, depending on the condition or whatever. It runs between, I would say, 1,600 to like 3,000 right now. So should you have gotten it before and you're losing money now? Yeah, technically. Technically. However, if you wanted to buy the new version, right, you're spending much more than that. And if you didn't get it directly from store, you're spending like $5,000 on that black or that white Speedy. I see it for like 5,500 on Fashion File at this point. Maybe it'll come down later, whatever. But the point being is that by going the pre-loved route, you're still saving money even on a super trendy it bag right now. And for the most part, you will. I think that specifically right now, vintage and pre-loved shopping, like it really is a buyer's market. Like real estate, it is a buyer's market. Whatever's happening, I feel like they know that people are turned off by the prices in store. And so if they're smart, like Fashion File, which they are smart, they know that they can absolutely corner the market with a ton more shoppers, with a ton more sales if they keep their prices at a decent space right now. And I really believe that they have been doing that, and that's incredible. So you can definitely get yourself a good deal. Have I paid over retail in my life for things that I'm like, I need that? Yes, absolutely. I think we all have. We've all made decisions where either we looked at back and we were like, that was a bad one, or it just was that important to us that we did it and there are no regrets. And I've definitely done both. For the most part, when I shopped pre-loved, for me, it's all about the thrill of the hunt. I'm sorry. I'm just like clogged up. It is definitely the thrill of the hunt, but it is also the thrill of finding the best deal that I possibly can on the pre-loved market for sure. I will look absolutely everywhere. And that's the fun of it. So usually I do not lose money. Usually I absolutely save money. But of course, there's that random time where you do lose and it happens. And either, like I said, you're either happy about it or you're not, but it doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. Sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it is because you really, really love it and it's worth it to you. No one can tell you what the value of something is. If it's valuable to you, it's valuable. Okay. All right. Next thing. This was maybe a bad idea to put this ear in here because it just keeps on wrapping itself around it. Okay. The next one is that there's not so much of a, how can I explain this? There's not so much of a focus on trends with vintage items. Everything kind of comes back around. We know that fashion is cyclical, blah, 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 blah. It all comes back around at some point. Usually it's at about the 20-year mark, give or take. Some version of that old style will come back again, right? With a new twist. We just discussed this. However, I really believe that buying vintage allows you to not be so caught up in that trend-driven market, right? Because even classics can be trendy. I mean, I like the 2010s, it was all about the classic Chanel flat bag. Now, is it still a classic? Yes, but that was also the trend back then. It was like the maxis, the jumbos, the bigger the better, but it was a trend to a certain extent, even though it was a classic. And then there were years there where it was like people it just kind of fell out of favor a little bit, not amongst the people who liked the classics, but amongst the people who were trying to, capture the trends, right? So with vintage, when you're shopping for things that are like 15 to 20 years plus old, I think it becomes, it's easier, in my opinion, to focus on your personal style versus what is trendy. So you see something, you love it. It's almost like it's cool because it's vintage. It's cool because it's old. And it can literally look like it allows you to just flex your personal style a little bit easier because nobody's looking at it like, oh my God, you don't have the new Chanel 25. Oh my God, you don't have like a gold Birkin or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You're almost able to focus more on what you love without getting caught up in what is a trendier bag. For example, I love the Chanel 19 personally. I also loved the Chanel Boy. And I actually I never had a Chanel Boy, but at some point I actually would like to add one to my collection. Let's say the Chanel 19, right? It was the it bag for quite a few years, right? We were into that big pillow fluffy situation. We were home. It was all about comfort and neutral colors and pillow things and slippers and whatever. And it probably was my favorite time in terms of fashion because it's all the things that I love, like comfort in general. So, I've gotten a few Chanel 19s over the years, and I know that they're losing popularity now, right? So I personally don't care. However, I know a lot of people are selling their Chanel 19s. Why? Because it's not as much of an it bag as it once was. It actually is starting to look maybe a little dated to people. And when you're focusing now in 20 years, is it going to look dated? It's going to look like a specific time frame, but it's going to be vintage. So you kind of get past that dated thought process. It's no longer dated. It's simply cool and vintage. So I feel like when you're shopping vintage, you literally are shopping you just have this huge pool of cool shit that you can pull from that nobody feels like it's dated anymore once it gets past that 15 to 20 year mark. It's like the world is yours after that point, and you can literally use anything and it's cool again, no matter what it was, no matter if it was super dated for a moment. I don't know how many of you remember, but multicolor was super dated for a while. It was so in our face for so long that it was so dated. nobody liked it for a while. And that's kind of, I think, just what happens in general. It's like we are just like it's oversaturated. And even if it was cool, it was just like enough. We're over it. We want the next new thing. So like again, 15 to 20 years later, you have this giant pool of incredible vintage things to kind of like dip into. And nobody's talking about it looking dated anymore. And if they do, it's because they don't know fashion, you know? Next, this is a long one. I'm sorry, guys. I talk a lot. I never thought I talked a lot until I started. My husband always told me that, but until I started this channel, now I'm like, oh, I do talk a lot because now I'm being timed and I'm like, shit, I really came in here to do a 25-minute video and we're at 40 minutes right now. And I have another page of notes. So I'm going to try to my best to get rid of a bunch of this stuff, but I'm sorry, guys. This is why I like long form content and why it's really hard for me to get on Instagram because I cannot capture your attention in like 2 seconds. I can't do it. It's why I don't really do reels. It's why I do pictures. Okay. Anyway, the next one, pro for vintage, is there's a larger inventory. So again, dipping into that pool, there's years and years and years and years and years, not just vintage, but like just pre-loved in general. You have everything past this last year. Like you have all of those collections to be able to purchase from. Anything that's no longer in the stores, you're able to purchase if you can find it. So you just have this, there's so much more, which is why I'm enjoying it. I'm like, I'm not no longer just going into the store and be like, oh, they have nothing and I'm not into it, which kind of sucks because I guess I'm constantly shopping now and then spending more, maybe. I don't know how it evens out, but but it allows me, I have a way like just such a large pool of items that I can be interested in and search for and just kind of always have my feelers out for and look at. And it's just so much more interesting than literally just walking into the store being like, or like, I love this or I don't love it or whatever. There's no excitement in that anymore for me. The excitement is in like the hunt of finding the most amazing vintage items, you know? Okay, so anyway, larger inventory for you guys. There's this TikTok that I think was going around. I'm going to try to find it, although I don't know if I can, but I will try, of the largest secondhand store in China. All original stuff, guys, okay? We're not getting into that conversation right now, but the largest secondhand store in China and just like how absolutely incredible it is. It's the same kind of like, ooh, like goosebumps I feel when I look at like fashion files, like main showroom or whatever. Like I've never been there. I do plan, I can't wait to go. Are you kidding me? But I don't know if they opened, I don't know when they opened it, but yeah, I didn't get to go before I moved or whatever. And I planned to go when I went back, but the last few trips I've gone in the winter and it's just kind of like, you want to move around as little as possible. I feel like when it's freezing out there, it's like especially now that my blood has thinned and stuff, I'm just not into it anymore. But when I do get back to New York in like the spring, summer, fall time, 100%, I have to get to Fashion File. But when I see videos of like those cages filled with like just rows and rows of like designer, vintage, and pre-loved like goodness, I'm just like, I literally get like goosebumps. Anybody else like me? Anyway, the Chinese store that it's like it's where dreams are made. I'm gonna try to find the video, guys. If not, I'll link something below or whatever. But like, I can't even. I don't have the words to describe how much I love that stuff. So excited to like one day get there. One day. And the Chinese one, Fashion File, hopefully this year. But okay. Next one. You won't see it everywhere. So this is the next pro to buying luxury. You're not going to see it coming and going. It is not necessarily one of a kind, but of course, you know, you're not going to see it coming and going. I actually have two things coming that I think I've never seen on anybody. I'm so excited to show it to you guys, but I've never seen it on anybody. And that's like the fun of vintage to me is that I remember them. One is not vintage. One is just fun, but one is very vintage. And I remember it. I remember when it came out, maybe not so much in the iteration, like the design, the colorway that I got, but I remember I had something like it. I just don't remember exactly what I had, to be honest. But like, I don't think I'm ever going to see somebody on the street walking with this bag, or even online. Like, I bet you I will probably never see somebody posting pictures with this bag that I got. So that's, to me, the excitement of vintage as well. That's why I love looking at other people's vintage collections also, because like like nobody's collections of vintage stuff is the same. Whereas when you see these brand new Chanel collections or brand new Hermes collections, like it's not like, it's not, I don't want to say that it is, everybody's going to have the same exact, but you definitely have there's more of a chance that you will have similar collections to somebody else. Whereas with vintage, it's 100% like your own special collection. And yeah, it's you kind of like in a collection. And I love that. Next one. Same thing, unique style. Again, it is something where you are able to, sorry, the light is getting a little crazy. I think the sun is covered by a cloud. You are 100% going to be able to show off your uniqueness with your vintage collection, or even pre-loved, just like by collecting things that are no longer in the store that not everybody has. Like, and don't get me wrong, I literally have purchased things because I have been influenced on here, and I've literally purchased things that like everybody has, and I know that, or I've seen it like coming and going online. I know like my bracelets, things like that. I know there's things that I have that I see everywhere. However, I like, how many, I don't know. I don't want to offend anybody. I'm not going to even say it, but like, with a vintage collection, with a pre-loved collection, you are so much, you're just able to really hone in on things that are unique to you, like, that you aren't seeing coming and going, and it allows you to create your own personal style, which I feel like is sort of like what's in right now. Is we're so sick of everybody looking the same. So this whole like focus on what is your true personal style. Well, I'm hoping it's not a trend and it's like people are taking it seriously. It may be a trend. I don't know, whatever. But I love that idea, like to say, okay, what do I really love and what do I only love because I see it every single day online, or my friends have it, or whatever, Okay. Let me see. Oh, and then no, it's not my last. Oh my God, I have so many pros, guys. I'm gonna have to edit this. Okay. The thrill of the hunt, which I already talked about, that goes without saying. I love the thrill of the hunt. I love, not only, like I said, like searching for things and finding them, whether it's in like online stores or like actual thrift shops, or and not or and looking for like the best price that I can find, right? Like having a price in my mind and literally focusing and executing and getting it at that lower price, or like a price that I'm okay with, instead of knowing that I don't even know how much the 25 is, like the Chanel 25, but like, let's say it's 6,000, 6,500, 6,800. I have no idea. I haven't checked. You already know that that's what you're paying. Whereas like with the vintage, it's fun for me because I can say, okay, I really want this. For example, there's a Chanel bag that I really want. It's rare. I will not pay $7,000 for it, right? So in my mind, I have like, okay, if I can find this thing for this much, I will do it. And so it's fun because, yeah, I found it over and over again. I'm going to keep finding this bag. It is literally something that people sell. It is worth a lot of money, There's going to be a day that I'm going to find it at a price that I love, and that's going to make it like so much sweeter. You know what I mean? Then it's like you're like winning at this game, because it is a game. And this is way more fun than the Hermes game, in my opinion. Way more fun than that. We'll get on that another day. All right, better quality. I think we all can agree that the vintage items and like the pre-loved, whether or not they're like they hit that 20-year vintage mark, but even like 15 years ago, again, Chanel. I think that I don't remember when they stopped with the dipped in gold. I think it was the early 2000s sometime, 6, 7, 8. I could be wrong. I'll pop it up here. But you had that. So your older bags, like buying them pre-loved, buying like 90s, early 2000s Chanel bags will have that gold plating. Also, obviously, with Louis Vuitton, like we said before, the canvas is thicker, the vachetta is thicker. Like there's just, things are thin and like cheesy now, whereas back then they really paid attention to the detail. For example, I mean, maybe it's not good to have such a heavy bag, but the reason that those initial Murakami bags were so heavy was the amount of incredible hardware that they put on these bags, and that's what made it special. And yes, it was like, arm numbing, which is why I don't have the Speedy. Like I won't buy. Never say never, but like it's why I'm not so interested in like adding the Speedy into my collection, because I had it and that thing was 300 pounds. And I probably will never use it if I did have it in my collection. It was just so heavy, but it was also incredible quality because all of those little pieces of brass hardware were like, it was what it was all about, Okay. Number 9. I know that we're 9. Jesus. Was it 9? I mean, I don't know. Did I leave anything out here? Maybe. Oh God, guys, I'm so itchy. I'm sorry. Okay. Sustainability, right? It's always a nice idea. We know we're destroying the earth, all these things. There's little things that we can do to decrease our footprint. One of those things would be buying things that are already produced, right? Okay, yes, new bags have been produced because if you're going to the store, you're buying them. But the more we buy new things, the more these factories produce them. Whereas, obviously, if we're buying things that are vintage or whatever, we're giving them a second life. They're not ending up in some landfill, just burning up and destroying our ozone layer and all the other stuff. Have no idea about nature and stuff, but I know it's not good, and I know that it is the better option to purchase things that are good for the earth. And again, if something was made 20 years ago, giving it a second life and loving it and enjoying it, it's already been here, it's already here. And we avoid destroying things that we don't need to destroy and in turn ruining our earth just a little bit more, Okay. And lastly, the market goes up and down. So you are really able to kind of follow it sort of like the real estate market, where it's like sometimes it's good for the buyer, sometimes it's good for the seller. So like when I sell things, I want to make sure that it's a good time for me to sell, unless I just don't care. Like there are times where, and I'm kind of only doing this with shoes now just because I'm trying to keep my bag collection intact. I'm trying to just grow that. And I don't see the benefit in designer shoes the same way that I used to. I have quite a few that I'm thinking about selling at this time, but it's because there are things that I want on the pre-loved market that I'd way rather get rid of things that are just sitting there. Not bags. We've already had that discussion, but shoes specifically, or like fashion jewelry, things like that, that I'm just like, I know I'm not going to wear. They're not important in terms of like a capsule collection for me. And so I know when I'm going to sell is going to be a time when the secondhand market is paying more for that item. Same way with buying is that I know that I can wait things out. So like right now I have on my list of things to buy a Steven Sprouse Speedy, like Marc Jacobs Steven Sprouse Speedy, whether it's the 2001 version or the 2008 version. I want both, but they are pretty expensive right now. And I'm waiting out the market so that I can find something at a decent price. And you're not going to ever be able to do that with new in-store items. Of course, they only go up, right? So with this, you are able to do that. And you're able to get not only vintage items, but just pre-loved in general. You're able to like wait it out and kind of like watch the market and see when it's going up and down, and putting like alerts on things. So when things come back in stock and it hits that price point that you are good with, beautiful. Now you have like successfully saved money, or just like it's a win, Okay. Cons. I'm going to go really quick through this. I'm going to try. Oh my God. Should I do this in 2 parts, guys? All right. If I stop it here, I might do it in 2 parts. Okay, guys, I have talked, I think I've talked too much. I don't want to bore the like ever living shit out of you and make this an even longer video. So I'm going to do the cons in a separate video. I'm going to film it now, but I'm cutting it in half. So if you have made it this far, you are the absolute best. Like, who's better than you? If you have not already subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe. It means absolutely everything to me. Honestly, it is like, every time I see a new subscriber, it's like Christmas morning. So I appreciate all you guys who have subscribed and who continue to watch, and all of you new subscribers out there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think that's it. I'm going to pop up my Instagram handle one more time, just in case you want to come follow me over there. And last but not least, I'm going to leave another video right over here in case you haven't seen it and would like to. All right, guys. So today's Monday. Wednesday, we'll have the continuance of this conversation. Okay. Until then, guys.